All right, guys, it is a very exciting day, a day I've been waiting on for a really long time. I'm about to hit 1 million subscribers on this YouTube channel. So I am currently at 999,999. So let's see if we can catch it rolling over to 1 million on camera here. This has taken forever today. I rushed into the shop because I was at 999,970 at 7:30 this morning. It's now 12:02, so it's taken 4.5 hours to get another 30 subscribers, which is absolutely ridiculous. I guess mornings just are not very active on YouTube on a Wednesday. Hopefully, we're about to hit this 1 million mark right now. Come on. There we go. 1,000,001. Man, that is really crazy. It's been a very long time coming. I am super excited. I want to say first and foremost, thanks to all of you guys for supporting the channel, for watching my videos, for subscribing, supporting the sponsors, buying through my affiliate links. This is my full-time job. I would not be able to do this if it were not for you guys. So thank you so much. But I wanted to basically just take this as an opportunity to kind of take a little walk down memory lane, look at how this came to be, where I started, where I am now, some of my favorite projects along the way, you know, just kind of reminisce a little bit. So I guess let's start back at the beginning. My first woodworking project on this channel was this very simple little workbench. It was a solid core door workbench. I had just gotten into woodworking. My wife and I moved from a small apartment. Moving from a small apartment to a house, we had very little furniture and lots of room. So I figured, you know, why not give this woodworking thing a shot? And so obviously, the first thing any woodworker needs is a good workbench. Let's go ahead and pull it up. Turn the volume down a little bit. Oh man, I used to have a loud intro there, but I was literally on the floor of our garage. I had bought this little miter saw prior to moving into the new house, and man, this brings back a lot of memories. I knew pretty much nothing about woodworking at this point. I had a miter saw, a drill, and an impact driver, and that was it. And so I know I get a lot of comments, and I've gotten a lot of comments over the years of people complaining about, oh, I don't have those tools. You know, I could build that if I had $100,000 of tools or whatever. None of us start that way. You know, I started here on the floor of my garage, and so I would really encourage you guys to try to figure out alternative ways to do things. The nice thing about woodworking is there's usually, 20 different ways to do any given task. You can see here I didn't have any fancy joinery, any dowel jigs or dominoes or anything like that, so I literally just drilled a hole through the 2 pieces of wood with a Forstner bit, which I had never heard of at that point. I went out and bought one, and then I could use that to do the dowel joinery, so it was a nice sturdy workbench. It's really crazy to look back at this. I guess I did have a pocket hole jig at that point. I think that was one of the first things I bought. When I was getting into this stuff, I looked at a lot of Anna White's plans, and her stuff was great from a beginner perspective. Pocket hole jigs, obviously something she used a lot. Turned out into a very nice little sturdy workbench. As you can see here, let me just skim through. Wearing my sweatpants there, looking real good there in our driveway. So yeah, I remember I jumped on this thing. So it was super sturdy. It was a great workbench. I can't really remember what I did with that. I might have given it away, but yeah, that was the first woodworking project I did on YouTube. That went out in December of 2015. I looked before we started this video, and so that was 7.5 years ago, which is absolutely nuts. So then from there, I did what I think most every woodworker does. I got into pallet wood projects because I realized, wood is really expensive. So I started hoarding pallets. I figured out how to disassemble them. I figured out that disassembling them was a total pain in the butt. So this phase did not last that long, but I basically built this very simple outdoor dining table. We had a really big back patio at our old house. And so this was one of the pieces of furniture I really wanted to try to build because patio furniture is very expensive. This is a pretty fun one. Kind of just looks like a pallet. It's got those cutouts in the stretchers there, but I think I ended up giving this to a friend of mine. Yeah, I mean, it held up fine, so that was a good, pretty early project. From there, I really tried to move into a little bit more, I guess, advanced woodworking. I started building this Telecaster style guitar, which was a huge undertaking for me. A lot of firsts on that project. I had never used a router, so building a guitar body from scratch was definitely a bit of a stretch for me, but got it done. I still play the guitar very regularly regularly. It plays awesome. I didn't build the neck myself because I knew that was going to be the one thing that I think I would have noticed if it was wrong, because I do play guitar. And then from there, I built the J Bates miter saw station, which if you guys have been around the channel for a while, you'll know that is still the miter saw station I use. I'm just about to get it set up here at my new shop. That was another huge project for me. I had never built cabinets before that. I had never built drawers. So a lot of firsts. I think I had like 13 sheets of plywood or something like that to break down on that project. And I had a circular saw and a little job site table saw to do that with. So once again, you can do a lot if you just kind of put your mind to it and figure out alternative ways to do it. You don't have to have all of this stuff. So then moving on, I think it was right around this point that I went full-time with the channel. And I went full-time really early. I think I only had like 5,000 subscribers, but basically my wife woke me up one morning and she basically told me I should quit my day job. So I put in my notice that day, and 2 weeks later, I was full-time. Thankfully, my wife had the confidence in my ability to make this into the business that it is today. So big thanks to my wife for that early support. That was really important to me. So from there, as you can see, I tried to really start putting out more videos. I did a lot more kind of simpler projects to kind of keep that pace going. Back in the YouTube woodworking space during that time period, that was kind of the thing to do. And yeah, things went well. The other thing I did during that time period was do some client work, because obviously when you have 5,000 YouTube subscribers, you're generally not generating enough income to make a full-time living. So this conference table build I did for a client build. I did a few other projects like this secretary desk. So that kind of helped to bridge the gap during that time period. And from there, I really just started to move into my kind of woodworking projects that I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen if you've been around for a while. So I think now let's jump over and look at some of my most popular videos and see what those were, because I think it might be a little surprising to some of y'all. So as you can see, I had a lot of success with these home improvement projects early on, and that was something that I think really helped to build this channel. I don't know what to attribute that to, but I think maybe the fact that I was a complete noob, a complete novice when it came to any sort of home renovation stuff. I think that was very appealing to people watching these videos because they were also first timers. I titled these videos installing tile floor for the first time and installing laminate flooring for the first time, and they were both my first time projects. So the laminate flooring was in the basement at our old house. That was a ton of work. I really had no idea what I was doing, but it turned out great. And then this tile was in our tiny little kind of laundry room closet here at our new house, and this was a lot of firsts for me. I'd never used this Schluter system. I had never worked with thin set, and so I very quickly realized that I do not like tile work. So I've done a decent amount of it since, but every time I do it, it seems like a major struggle. And yeah, this was not a ton of fun, but you know, I think it turned out looking really good. What's kind of funny is that we never even really see these tiles because our washer and dryer sit on top of this, so you can basically see the front like 2 inches of it. But I think that made it a great kind of intro to tile project, because you know, there was really very little risk of screwing it up because I would never see the tile. Oh, nice after shot there. This turned out great. I really wish I could actually see that tile. So moving on to my next most popular videos, this concrete guitar project did extremely well. This was a very fun one. I built this while I was out in Joshua Tree with Ben from Homemade Modern and his sister Jessie and Mike Montgomery from Modern Builds. They brought a bunch of us out to their little house there, Maker Ranch, and as you can see, I'm pretty banged up. The first thing I did after getting off of the plane was crash Johnny Lambert from Johnny Builds one wheel, so I was missing a lot of skin in these shots. That was no fun, but the project turned out great. Basically made a silicone mold, and then I cast some of the Quikrete countertop epoxy in there. Turned out great. I epoxied in the neck because I couldn't really figure out a good way to attach it otherwise, and got the whole thing assembled, and it actually plays really well. I don't really ever play it because it is so unbelievably heavy, and I'm probably actually going to pull all of this hardware off of there because I have some really nice pickups and tuners and all that stuff on there, and it's kind of a waste to just have it sitting there collecting dust. But that was a really fun project. If you guys want to go back and check that out, I'll link to all the videos I talked about here in the video description below. Next up, let's talk about, I think, my first video to ever hit 1 million views, and that was this Live Edge river table. This is still, I think, one of my personal favorite projects to date. This was a super fun build. It was really challenging to try to figure out how to make this all work. I had to have this piece of glass cut locally. I made a cardboard template for it, and then I had to figure out how to route a recess in the top edges of these slabs to fit the glass. Ended up running my flush trim bit on my router up against the glass, which was incredibly stressful because because obviously if it slipped, it probably would have destroyed the glass. As you can see, this thing just turned out beautiful. It was a cherry slab and I used walnut for the legs, and the slab looks a ton better now because obviously cherry over time darkens up and it looks beautiful. Unfortunately, this is actually sitting in our attic at our house right now because we don't really have a spot for it, because with our 2 little kids, I didn't really want this hanging around. This is not tempered glass, so obviously if that were to break, it would be kind of a dangerous situation, and this is kind of an irreplaceable piece of glass, so figured I'd keep it stored away until the kids were a little older. But yeah, that was a really beautiful piece. Definitely one of my favorites. Moving on from there, you can see there's just a whole slew of videos here in my kind of most popular sections. The part 1 of this shop renovation series did really well. The multi-zone mini split install in the tiny house did well randomly. It's been just a ton of projects over the years, and just see all of the work I have done over the years. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this little walk down memory lane. It is kind of crazy to look back at all of the videos I've done. It's 265 videos evidently. Again, I've been doing this for a little over 7 years now, so it's taken a minute to get to 1 million, but I am super excited. Obviously, I'll send off for my gold play button, but I've heard those can take a couple of months to come in, so stay tuned. I will be continuing to get this new shop set up. I am super excited to have my tools out of storage and to get things a little bit more organized here. I have been living in complete chaos for the last, I guess, 2 years since I bought this shop. It's been pretty rough. So I'm excited to get back to woodworking and to actually know where my tools are. So thanks for watching, y'all. Thank you for subscribing. If you want to support me, I'll have some affiliate links in the video description below, as well as links to my merch. Oh, this is not my merch. Some of my merch will be linked in the video description below, as well as my Patreon and YouTube members, which is another great way to support me. All right, thanks for watching, y'all, and until next week, happy building.